morning, Miramar, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Tamara G. Don't forget, you can check us out on all of our social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at City of Miramar. And with us today, we have the Vice Mayor of our great city, Vice Mayor Alexandra P. Davis, along with Captain Kevin Nugent from the Miramar Fire Department. They are going to be here to talk about a great event that is happening Saturday, June 3rd. It's called Save a Life Day. And anytime we can save a life, that is a good thing. So welcome to the show, both of you, and tell us a little bit about it, Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you for having us on the show, Tamara. And, it's very important. You just have to see what's happening. The most recent one was when our athlete collapsed on the field, the NFL player, and had it not been for the quick thinking of the members around him, and knowing how to perform CPR and possibly use an AED, would have saved his life before he was rushed to the hospital. So with that in mind, and we know that that particular week is actually CPR and AED awareness week, we thought it fitting to partner with the fire department to make sure that our residents are aware of how to save a life. And so many different set of circumstances can arise. Even just recently on the news, it made national news, I believe it was, where a twin saved her twin brother who was choking in the cafeteria. How many of us know what to do should that occur? And so these are the reasons why we have these types of events. I think it's the first in the city at this point that is so comprehensive. And we have a lot of partners who will be there. And so we're really looking forward to this event on June 3rd.
All right. And of course, it's at the Miramar Multi-Service Complex, 6700 Miramar Parkway from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, June 3rd. With us again, we mentioned, is Captain Kevin Nugent. And just some of the things that Vice Mayor mentioned, she mentioned that, the football player, Damar Hamlin, who fell out on the field, and someone knew CPR. Also mentioning the twin who saved her brother from choking, knowing how to do the Heimlich. What are some of the things that you see on a daily basis from the fire department? I'm sure there's too many to name, but at least some of the more common ones. And if someone knew how to do that, it may have saved a life.
We see such things as heart attack, stroke, pretty regular basis. We also have limited access highways that run through the city of Miramar, so sometimes traumatic events as well. Just to kind of piggyback on what Vice Mayor was saying, it's a great opportunity anytime we can reach out with the community, get involved to educate and better inform them to better protect themselves and have the information that they need should they end up in a situation like this. And my personal feeling is the more we reach out like this, the less chance we have of seeing them on emergency calls. And that's really what we're aiming to do. And I really appreciate Vice Mayor Davis for heading this off.
Oh, well, great. So I know that some of the events that are going to be talked about are demonstrations. Let's talk about drowning, because right now the May is Drowning Prevention Month. Let's talk a little bit about that, Captain Nugent, and how people can, avoid that.
Okay. Well, the first thing they need to do is, if you do have small ones, usually is children, to get them educated in swim programs if necessary. There was a time in the early 2000s that Miramar Fire Rescue led the nation in pediatric drownings. The city took the initiative to actually put a program forward with lifeguards and training programs that were provided access to the entire community. And it's basically a non-issue in our city anymore. Doesn't mean we need to not keep reaching out to everyone, but we definitely need to keep educating the public to make sure they get the proper training to avoid these type of emergencies.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to be taking some swimming lessons next week because, believe it or not, Vice Mayor, I don't know how to swim. And
wow.
Florida for 27 years. But I am sure, Vice Mayor, you hear that all the time from people.
Yes. In fact, I was fortunate enough to grow up in London, where we had swimming as part of our curriculum in elementary school. And once a week, we would have to go to, we call them the swimming baths, and learn how to swim. It was compulsory. And I hadn't seen a sea or any water nearby for many, many moons when I lived in London, let alone here with all the canals that we have, the waterways, the lakes, and the curiosity of children. It's just a matter of time before, if you don't know how to swim, you'll get caught in a situation where you're going to have to struggle. So I'm glad to hear that you're learning how to swim.
Yes, yes.
It's very important. And once you learn, it's like riding a bike. You don't unlearn that. So whereas I haven't swum in a while, I do know how to save myself. So I think it's important. We have programs in the city. In fact, we have some free programs available to our residents through a program, Swim Central. And so there's absolutely no excuse that we have children drowning who really don't know how to swim. And again, like we just recently saw two brothers, right? One of them
Two
fell
brothers.
in the canal or some waterway, and then the other one tried to save him who couldn't swim either, and then the two of them ended up drowning. We really want to prevent that in our community.
Okay. I know something else that is going to be mentioned at the Save a Life event on Saturday, June 3rd at the Miramar Multi-Service Complex that's located at 6700 Miramar Parkway is don't leave a child in a car. Captain Nugent, how many times does that happen? And people are always asking themselves, well, how does that happen? But I hear that I'm not a parent, but I hear that parents are very, distracted, or, they've got a lot of things going on. And sometimes you just don't remember that you were the one who picked up the kid and they're back in the car. And it's 100 degrees here in South Florida right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Parents, it's really easy, especially moms or dads with two or more kids. Sometimes they have a lot on their plate. It can be easy. They think they're running in for a second. We just need to remember in South Florida, like you said, we have excessive heat temperatures. It makes it extremely dangerous, whether we're talking about animals and or children or even elderly, because they're more affected by temperature changes as well. So just so we can avoid those type of things. I don't see that as often. I get a lot of people who lock their keys in the car with their kids. We come out and we get them out. But luckily for us, we don't see this as much anymore. And really, one time is too many. So we want to avoid that entirely.
Vice Mayor, I also see that hurricane preparedness is on this list. Now, obviously, we in the city of Miramar are inland, but it doesn't mean that, a hurricane won't turn a path or come across or do some damage, right?
Absolutely. And so we have what we call a CERT program, where we have just regular volunteers who are trained in certain disaster, what to do in case of a disaster. And so we want to make sure that our residents are aware of this program and also what to do in case of a hurricane. Most of us have, shutters and things that we do. But what happens after the storm? And that's when it becomes sometimes even more deadly. And so we want them to know the resources that are available to them.
And here's something else that is important: smoke alarms and carbon monoxide poison prevention. First of all, if people even have smoke alarms in their house, what about changing the batteries, Captain Nugent? And carbon monoxide. A lot of people, you hear people dying because they left the car running in the garage and didn't realize that it kills you.
Yeah, not just cars in the garage. Also, to Vice Mayor's point, Davis's point, during hurricanes, sometimes people leave generators in their house, so it's off-gassing carbon monoxide. So one of the things we try and do is educate the public on how often to change batteries that you brought up. Usually when the time changes twice a year, spring forward and fall back. I wish I listened to my own advice as much as I give it. I usually wait till it starts beeping, but I do change them right away. But we need to make sure people keep up with their smoke detectors and where they properly place their carbon monoxide detectors. Sometimes they're placing them in the garage, and a lot of times they'll actually pick up residual from when they shut off their car and walk inside. So maybe in the laundry room or the room just adjacent to the garage or carport that they may have.
Okay. Another one on the list. Did you want to say something there, Vice Mayor?
No, that's great. Even for the carbon monoxide, now they're even recommending that you travel with one, because folks stay at hotels or Airbnbs, and next thing you know, you're out. So
happened in the Bahamas. I remember that happened last year. The two couples that were in the rooms side by side and were found dead, and turns out it was carbon monoxide poisoning. Boy, just really scary. Another thing that's going to be discussed at the Save a Life event is mental health awareness, and how people are dealing with that. It just seems like everyone is suffering from something today, no matter what it is. And whether you even admit to it, whether you know that you are, how do you find help if you are suffering from some type of mental health illness? And I'll
Yeah,
leave
so
advice.
we will be we have a whole social services department that assists us with folks in crisis. But we also have members of the police department who will be there, a task force that deals with homelessness as well. And we also have a police social worker now on board. And so we want to make sure that we let them know the resources that are available through social services and through the police department, through our social worker. So if anyone's in crisis, they're familiar with the number to call in case, again, with even suicides and things of that nature. How do you get the resources you need? And for caregivers and parents and things of that nature, what to do in terms of when there's a crisis, if there's a mental health crisis. A lot of times people are afraid to even call the police when they have a son or daughter that exhibiting certain behaviors. Maybe they didn't take their medication. What is the best route? How do you help your loved ones during a crisis? So hopefully that will be explained a little bit there, and the resources that are available will be handed out to individuals.
Sounds good. All right. So if you are just now tuning in, thank you so much. I'm Tamara G., your host. We are speaking with Vice Mayor Alexandra P. Davis from the beautiful, wonderful city of Miramar, as well as Fire Captain Kevin Nugent. They are talking about Save a Life, the event that is happening on Saturday, June 3rd at the Miramar Multi-Service Complex. And of course, you can check it out, that address, 6700 Miramar Parkway. They are going to be talking about many different things, have many different experts that will be there to help you. If you have any questions, don't leave a child in the car, drowning prevention, CPR, the AED, automatic external defibrillator, stop the bleed demo. I'd love to talk about that, Captain Nugent, because I don't know if I would be able to stop bleeding. I've always just been told to put pressure on it, but I can't hold pressure on it all day, right?
Oh, that's actually a pretty good start. This is a nationwide initiative after we've unfortunately experienced a lot more mass casualty style incidences, whether it be active shooter, active killer. So what we want to do is arm the nation with as much information and education as possible so they can actually help us in those events, because there are mass casualty incidents with a lot of people. And the Stop the Bleed program goes over how to deal with traumatic injuries, but also how to run, hide, and fight if faced with that situation where you may have an active shooter or killer. So we cover all areas of the spectrum, and that will be at that event.
All right. Hurricane preparedness, CERT, as Vice Mayor Davis mentioned earlier about the community emergency response team, if you want to volunteer for that. The blood bank. I love this one. I am in the 4-gallon club. Thank you. Well, and the reason why is I'm O positive. So the blood bank calls me every 6 weeks, trying to get me to give. But yes, that's very important because a lot of times they don't have enough blood. So the blood bank's going to be there. Again, we talked about smoke alarms and carbon monoxide poison prevention, mental health awareness, signs of a stroke, and signs of drug addiction, just to name a few. So this is going to be an amazing event, Save a Life Day, of course, hosted by Vice Mayor Alexandra P. Davis. Vice Mayor Davis, and it's from 11 to 3 p.m., 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Multi-Service Complex, 6700 Miramar Parkway. How can people get registered? It's a free event and it's open. We know that people love coming to the city of Miramar and learning and finding out information. Of course, it's open to Miramar residents, but it is open to the community because we want everybody to know these things.
Absolutely. So we'd love to know the number of people that are going to be signed up to come to this event. So we have an Eventbrite, which is savealifeday.eventbrite.com. Once again, savealifeday.eventbrite.com. And of course, we always like to have refreshments. So don't forget when you come, we know it's around lunchtime, we'll have some light refreshments, making sure that you can endure throughout the 4 hour. We'll have a lot of live demonstrations, presentations, and things of that nature. And of course, if you need more information, you can certainly call my office at 954-602-3155. 954-602-3155.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Again, please register just so we know how many people are coming. SaveALifeDay.eventbrite.com. SaveALifeDay.eventbrite.com. You can always call Vice Mayor's office at 954-602-3155, or it's right on the front page of the MiramarFL.gov website. It's right there, so you can find out the information to register as well. Thank you so very much, Vice Mayor Davis, as well as thank you very much, Kevin Nugent, for being with us from the Miramar Fire Department. Looking forward to a great event on Saturday, June 3rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Save a Life Day. It is going to be amazing. So thank you guys for joining.